Hello, this is the Cobra LRH270K, which is a long reach hedge cutter with a 27 Kawasaki engine. This is how it arrives with you in this strong box like this. Everything is in there you need to cut the hedges. So what I'm going to do is unpack it all, take it all out and show you how to assemble it ready for action. Here it is, all unpacked from the box. So we've got the actual long reach hedge cutter here, enables you to get nice tall hedges there with the Kawasaki engine. It's got a shoulder strap there that is very easy to fit, just to take the weight when you're using it. The all important manuals, not only for the hedge cutter but also for the engine. So some reading material there. We've got a bag of tools that we need for various things, spark plug, Allen keys, screwdriver that you might need for maintenance. The fuel bottle here, this is a two-stroke engine, so you do need to make a mix of oil and petrol with that. So this just enables you to get the ratios right. And all the details for the ratio for this engine are in the instructions. So read that to make sure you get the right ratio for smooth running. And finally, we've got the handlebar just here that clips around the main shaft, so you can hold on to that. And what we need to do is fit that first. So I'm going to go into the tool bag and get out one of the Allen keys, and what we're going to do is just loosen off these 4 Allen key bolts, and then I'll show you exactly how we fit it. So bolts out there, comes into 2 pieces. Fitting it is very simple. It will only go on one way, in fact. So here we've got this anti-vibration rubber there, so that just makes it more comfortable to use, and this fits underneath and it fits into the groove there. There is a groove in the moulding that lines up with this ridge on this anti-vibration rubber. That goes on there, and then the top piece just fits over it like that, and you line it up. You get it into the position that you want to make it in the comfortable position, and then it's simply a case of having to tighten down these bolts with the Allen key until that's nice and firm. We don't want any movement at all on this handlebar. It doesn't want to be slipping around, so you've got to get those nice and tight. So I'm just going to do those 4 now, and then I'll show you what we do next. All right, so we need to make sure they're nice and tight so that the handlebars, you can see, is nice and firm like that. So put that away nice and safely. Next thing is to put on the strap. Very simple. Just take that out of the bag, and it simply clips on to the handlebar just here. This does move, and it just clips on like that. And the idea is, when you're using this, of course, you can adjust this on the buckle just here. That would slip over your shoulder, so that when you're using it, it just takes a little bit of the weight of the hedge cutter. So makes life so much easier. Before we start it, I just want to show you the articulating head, because the great thing about this is you can cut at various angles. So what I'm going to do is just lift this down onto the floor just to show you this. At the moment it's folded away like this, so to be able to move it, we've got this red piece just here, this with a hand grip on there. We can pull that down, and that releases the pin that is in a series of holes, and then that will twist around, the blade will twist around to the position that we need it, and it will lock in, and you can feel that locking into place. Make sure it's lined up, and that has to go right the way back to the top. If it doesn't, it means that the gearing won't engage and the blades won't go around. So if you can't get the blades to go, it's because that isn't locked into position. And again, if you want to alter it to a different position, you can just spin it round, lock it in, and that goes back up. And then it means you can cut, you know, the top of high hedges like that, or put it in a vertical position to do the sides, or whatever angle you want. There are lots and lots of positions there. So what I'm going to do is pull that back down into position. We'll make it nice and flat, in fact, like that. So we can put that back on the table. You'll notice also there's a blade cover on there, which is to protect the blade, but also your fingers. This is very sharp, so when you are doing any adjustments, make sure you leave that on. We're not going to take that off until we actually start the machine ready for cutting. So to start is very simple. This is a 2-stroke engine, as I've mentioned, which is a petrol and an oil mix, and the ratio for mixing is in the manual. So what we normally do is put our oil in there, top it up with petrol, and we're using ordinary unleaded petrol, E10, but use fresh petrol because it doesn't stay in good condition for long. It goes stale and it won't start. So make sure you don't buy huge quantities in one go. I've already mixed some up in this jug just here, so I'm going to pour that into there. So this is what it would be like when you've put your oil and petrol in there and given it a good shake to mix it up nice and thoroughly. So that can go into there, and then we can fuel this up. Now fueling is here. Here's the filler cap for the fuel. It reminds you on there, look, there is a little petrol there and an oil, and this tells us this is 50 parts petrol to 1 part oil, 50 to 1. So that's just a reminder. So what I'm going to do is just very carefully just pour some petrol into there. Petrol and oil mix. Okay, pop that back on nice and tightly. And the lid back on any spare fuel you've got in there. And then we can go through the starting procedure. Starting is very easy. Bear in mind, this has been in storage, it's come straight from the factory, it's not been run before, so it might take a few pulls to get it going. But the controls are very simple. On the handlebar here, we've got the stop start button there. So forward is to stop it. We need to have it in a back position to be able to start it. And that's designed so that when you're using it with your hand around this sort of soft cushion handle grip here, if you want to stop it, you just simply push it forward with your thumb. So it's a safety device. We can lock the throttle trigger here into a run position with this little red button here. So just pull the trigger in and push that down like that. So that is now ready to start at this end. At the back of the engine here, we've got the pull start. We've also got the choke little lever there, this red one here. So we just flick that round to that position. There's a little directional arrow on there. And when you rev the engine when it's running, that will automatically switch off. Under the carburettor, there is a little primer button like that. And when the engine's cold, we need to push that several times, and that will just pump some fuel up. And you can see there, that is now pumping fuel through that line from the tank up into the carburettor. So that's the engine prime. Before you do start it though, we just want to slide off the guard there. Just be careful when you take that off because they are very sharp. And then we're ready to start. So we're switched on, we've got the choke on, we've primed it. So here we go. And then a little rev to warm the engine. And to switch it off, of course, it's simply just a case of pushing that little red lever forward. Bear in mind, this is a new machine, so the grease that's packed in this gearbox will be cold. So when you do start it for the first time, you do need to run the engine for maybe a minute or two just to soften this grease, let it just get to a warmer temperature, and then the blades will work much more efficiently. So don't worry if they're a little bit slow to start with. So that is it, it's all ready for use. And remember, you've got everything you need to know about the engine and the Hedgecutter and how to operate it all in the manual. So read those and keep them somewhere safe. So happy hedge cutting.
Remember to register your Cobra online at www.cobragarden.co.uk, and always have your Cobra serviced regularly. Check the website for your nearest dealer.